Hello there, and welcome again to my workshop, and Happy New Year. This is the first video for 2022, and today's video is brought to you by Carveco, who is the sponsor of this video today. This is also the continuation of the series of the build of the AMAX CNC router that you can build at home with just standard hand tools and a cordless drill and possibly a saw. But what I'm proving to you is that you can build it without a CNC router. Unfortunately, I have to actually make a part in an effort to speed the process up, and I really want to finish this by the end of January. I'm going to make this small part out of this block of aluminium, which I've cut off, which is 2 inches square, or 50.8 millimeters square by 25 millimeters, or 1 inch thick. And what it is, it's to encapsulate or to connect the ball screw nut to the Z-axis drive plate. When I received the new ball screw and nut as a kit with bearings, someone forgot to put this part in, so I'm going to have to make it. So this video is going to be broken up into 2 parts. First part, I'm going to show you one of the programs in Carveco. In this case, Carveco Maker Plus, but any of the Carveco programs can do this. And that is make a machine part for a CNC mill. It is not just for art. The original name for this program was ArtCam, but this is the new brand name now, Carveco. It's available in 3 levels. There's Maker Plus, which I'm going to use now, and Carveco, the main program, which is the industrial program. And incidentally, underneath this video there is a discount code for you, whether you decide to lease it monthly, buy it outright. The same discount applies right through the board, even the professional program. So don't forget that. It's well worth it, I can tell you. And incidentally, if you hear parrots in the background squawking and flying around, it's unavoidable because I live on a tropical island and they're native to this part of the world. Okay, so this is the opening screen of Carveco Maker Plus. So to start a new project, you go to New Model. And I'm set up to work in millimeters. You can also operate in inches, but all my machines are set up in millimeters. So our particular piece of work in the X is 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters. I always keep the resolution up high. It's just practice that I use. It just gives a better outcome, especially when you're working in 3D models. So I'm going to press O. Now here's one we need to change. Now this is the orientation of the work. Now I'm going to be using a CNC mill or milling machine, so I'm going to choose this back corner here, which is fairly normal for a milling machine. If it was a CNC router, it would be either here, or I quite often use the center of the work. So we're going to choose here, which is the back left hand corner. I'm going to press OK. Okay, so the color of the piece of work, or the screen here indicates to me that we're in a 3D view. Now it's a lot easier to draw this particular item in a 2D format. So to change that, you just go to the tag up here and change to a two-dimensional drawing pad then. Now to assist me, I am going to draw or bring out some guidelines. So you just come up here to the ruler, left click and draw it down. Now I want to come down here to the 20mm line. So it's 20mm from the 0 point here. If you remember at the beginning, we made this top corner up here the start point of the program, or the orientation of the job then. So everything is 0 up there, that top corner. So 20mm down here is here, and I need another line now. So I'm going to come over to this ruler, left click, and come over here and come to the 25 there. Now that is the center of the where I want to bore out then a 28.1mm hole actually. Okay, so now we have the area, marked out the area where we want our bore. I'm going to come up here now and choose the circle drawing tool, come here, and if you notice the cursor's changed from a cross to a target because Carveco Maker Plus has picked up that, well, okay, it sort of preempts what you want to do. So it realizes you've drawn these two lines here. Now when you want a circle, so it's preempting that you want a hole or that circle to be drawn at that intersection, which is exactly what we want. So I just draw it out, release it. I come over here and it's telling me that it's the position of that circle is not quite right there. If you notice there, it's 25mm, so it is actually 25mm there. And I wasn't totally accurate in placing this this line then. So you can be perfectly accurate by actually putting in the dimension that you want there, which in this case is 20mm minus 20mm. Don't forget, 0 line is up there, so coming down from it, so that's a minus figure. And from the 0 to the right is a plus figure. And to help you out, it has the figures here on the ruler on the top. See, minus the left direction from the 0 point, and also minus figures from the 0 point in the X. This is the Y. And this lines up with the coordinate system in a CNC machine. So we've got that now in exactly the right position, and the diameter of the hole we require is 28.1, and I am going to ask Carveco to create that, and it's created it. Now I'm just going to change this cursor now from a cross. I'm going to come up here and just select the selector tool. You notice it changes to a selector tool. Coming off the drawing and left clicking, and notice everything is deselected. Okay, so if you want to select something again, you just come over to what you want to select and left click, and it highlights it to a mauve or purple color. That indicates to you that Carveco Maker Plus is actually working with that particular piece or line or circle, or it's actually you are prompting the program that you're working with that. So the next thing to do, in actual fact, I'm going to do now a toolpath for that, because all I want to do is bore that hole out in that particular area of that block, which is sort of just off center here. Okay, because this is going to connect to the underside of the Z-axis drive plate, and obviously this is going to be fitted onto the ball screw. So now we're going to go to toolpaths. Now I've got several different areas I can go to get the toolpaths. I can either come up here and bring up toolpaths, or I can come here and bring up toolpaths. And this is a 2D operation, and it's an area clearance. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be clearing all this material out. Now this is a wizard or conversational. Okay, it's a means of you communicating back and forth with the program. So it asks you a number of things. So at the top here, it says, well, and you can open it and have a look. It says, well, is it going to be the selected vector? Yes, you want the program to work on this vector. It's just asking you the question, and yes, you do. Start depth. Okay, now I always make the face of the material my start depth. Okay, there may be reasons why you want to start above the material, but I would start it at 0, and I always make the 0 point the face of the material. Finish depth. Now we know this is 25 millimeters deep, but I want to be sure of a clean cut all the way through, and to reduce the amount of filing or whatever you have to do to finish. So I'm going to go 25.5. So I'm going to go 0.5 millimeter further on through. Now I'm going to add a tool from the tool list. Add a tool. Now these are all tools that are built into Carveco. In our case, we're going to be using a 10 millimeter end mill, and we're just going to select that. Now what you can do now is modify the parameters of the tool to suit your particular machine or the particular material that you are machining. I have a relatively small mini machine, and it has a 300 watt drive motor, although it is fairly highly, quite a bit of torque on it. It's a little SIG X2 converted to a CNC mill. Now then, so I'm going to go 2 millimeter step over. Step down, that is way too much for it. I'd end up probably stalling it. So we're going to go, it's going to take some time to go through it, but I'd rather sort of be quite conservative with it. We're going to go 2 millimeter there again. Feed rate. Now don't forget, this is going into aluminium. I'm using Mach 3, so I can actually alter that feed rate on the fly as it's running. 20 millimeters per second. That's a lot. So what we're going to do, we're going to refine that quite a bit, and we're going to say 10 millimeters per second. Now I can run that faster, I can run that slower. Plunge rate. 6mm. It's just a little over a quarter of an inch per second. That's a little bit much. So I'm going to say 3, which is just under an 1/8 of an inch. I'm giving you sort of measurements sometimes in imperial, because I do understand there is a lot of people that still use imperial, so they, you get a rough idea as well. Now I can knock that down to, because I know maximum RPM on my mill, which I'm going to be running at, is 5,000 RPM, although Mark III does not control the RPM of my machine. Now then, raster, what raster means is the tool will come in and go back and forth and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, till it goes all through the material. Now with the circle, that's not, I don't like doing that. It doesn't leave a good clean cut. So I want what's known as an offset strategy. I'm going to tell Carveco that I want it to come into the middle and work its way out, comes to the outside. So that's this is outside in, and this is inside out. Okay, so if I choose that, it would start on the outside and work its way in. But choosing that, I'm telling or indicating to Carveco, I want you to start in the middle and work your way out. That is preferable when you're cutting and you want an accurate circle. Independent finishing depth, no, we're not going to bother with any of that. Ramp moves, now definitely, especially going into aluminium, not wood. So we're going to click yes, we want you to do ramp moves. Now this is my normal setup. This means the ramp angle is going to be 10 degrees, which is fine. Maximum ramp length, which is 10 millimeters, so it's going to go 10 millimeters side to side. And I'm using a 10 millimeter tool. That's good. Minimum ramp length, the 5 millimeter, that's okay. So you're giving Carveco here a tolerance. Z start height, 1 millimeter above the work. That's where you want it to start zigzagging. So it sort of goes gradually into the material. That's perfect. Machine safe. Let's have a look at this. Machine safe. I'm going to make that 10 millimeters. Home positions 0, 0, 0, 10. So what I'm saying is, really I just altered that. The home position for the Z, 10 millimeters above the material. The safe Z is also 10 millimeters. So I'm telling Carveco, nothing to fear here. You can move from the 0 position here to the start of the material, but 10 millimeters above it. Okay, so you can traverse from the 0 point here over to the center to start the job 10 millimeters above the work. Okay, and you also want you to start 10 millimeters above the work. Okay, that's what that's saying. You're telling Carveco, well, there's no screws, bolts, or any fixing things here. You can safely move from point A to point B without snapping the tool off. Right, set up. Now here, this is where we tell Carveco how thick the material is. So it's 25 millimeters. That's all fine, so we're going to OK that. So I now I'm going to name the toolpath. Now I abbreviate everything, so I just need something that's going to indicate to me or remind me, or I can recognize it in the G-code listing when this is saved. And that's indicated to me that that's been calculated, and that is the toolpath. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cross out of that. I'm going to come now to simulation. Standard simulation and simulate. Okay, so what I did just now, I went up to this view cube, for want of a better word. Now you can change the view. So you want an isometric view, which is that one. So now we can see this, the mill. This is just the representation of a milling tool. Come in here and machine this. So we're going to play. Okay, so there is our hole bored out in the exact position where we want it. Now, a couple of things to mention here. I've had a few people ask me, well, how to turn the rulers on and off. Well, you just come up here to View. You come down here to Show Rulers. Touch that and it disappears. And also, you know, you can change the view here to top view, isometric view. But when you go on it, you know, you can move it bodily. And a lot of people are asking me where the Twiddle tool is. How do I maneuver this around in 3D space? Well, you come up here to View, and there's the Twiddle tool there. So now you come on here, left click, and you can move it around in 3D space. Totally fine. And you can also turn those lines off by just touching that there. And turn them on and off. And you can move it around. Another thing people are asking me is how to change the material. Well, this is set up as aluminium at the moment, which is what we're actually dealing with. But if you just touch the simulation bar up there, and then you can come down here and you can select whatever you want. I actually like, if I can see it, where is it? Beach, where's bronze? There's bronze. I like bronze. I think it looks rather nice. Apply. Look at that. Nice shiny piece of bronze. Oh God, I suppose you could call it gold as well. So that is how to change your material if you want to. A number of people have asked me how to save as well. So you come over here to Tool Paths. So you just notice I just clicked on Tool Paths and it just brings up this more information, what you want to do. So we just come here to the floppy disk. Quite a few of you won't probably know what a floppy disk is, but it's just a means of saving data. And this is exactly what we want to save in J. I think it's J. Let's just check. It is. We'll rename that. So it's 28.1 millimeter with a 10mm mill. This is another thing too. I always use a G-code millimeter tap. It's a good all-rounder. The SMC controller that I use sometimes, it understands that perfectly. Mach 3, Mach 4 understands it, so that's what I use. So we'll save that, and basically that's done. Okay, so that's how to use any of the Carveco programs to construct a part. So don't forget, underneath this video, in the video description area, you will find a Carveco discount code for any of the Carveco program products. So thank you for joining me, and the next video will be machining this part on a converted CNC mini mill. So, and also don't forget, like and subscribe, and if you would like to become a patron to the channel, because it's the patrons behind the channel that keeps it going, please have a look. And I hope you come back for the next video, which is machining this part on the little CNC SIG milling machine. So it's bye for now.